Hello and welcome to another Moaning Show. My name is HED01 and you're watching episode 65, all about mental health. Now, from the outset of this video, I'm going to actually tell you that this isn't going to be a typical moaning show. I'm not going to be doing much moaning or complaining. Now, why, I hear you ask, are you making this a moaning show? As many people as will watch this video, it's probably going to be less than 100, but I want it known, my thoughts and opinions on mental health, and that's obviously what the Moaning Show is all about. So this week I'm not going to answer any questions I pop up on the screen. I'm not going to moan, bitch and complain a tremendous amount. I want my views on mental health recorded, so hence the reason I'm doing this video. Normal service for the Moaning Show will probably be resumed next time out. As I've been saying these last few videos, I have no idea when I'm going to be able to upload these things, so hence a strange sort of upload schedule will be enforced from now on. But on the subject of mental health, I want to state right now that, in my personal opinion, I think everyone, and I mean everyone watching and everyone in every country in the world, has a mental health issue of some type. Now, you may think that is a bold statement to go out on record and say that absolutely everyone on this planet has a mental health issue. On the scrimping and saving for the best part of 30 days for the next payday, and that doesn't do anyone any favours. You're all stressed out, you're thinking, what the fuck am I going to do, and that doesn't help. That doesn't help one iota, and another thing I think as well is the fact that if you are worried about something, then that could lead to a potential mental health issue. Now, what I mean by mental health issues is not individuals that have a diagnosed problem and live in let's just say asylums and hospitals and things like that, mental health hospitals, asylums aside, this is what I'm talking about. That's a subject that I'm not going to touch on because A, I don't want to, and B, there could be issues for me touching on that sort of subject. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the so-called average person, which I seem to be talking about quite a lot just lately. And what I'm on about is the potential issues that you and I can face on a daily basis. Now, with me saying that I personally believe everyone living has a mental health issue, I believe that to be the fact. I don't want anyone watching to get upset or to, be sad or anything, but I believe I have a mental health issue. And a lot of it stems from the fact that obviously I am the size that I am, and obviously I have some sort of weakness for sort of like foods that are not good for me. There was like fatty foods or high sugary foods, and obviously I'm working on that with my recently diagnosed diabetes in the last 6 to 7 months or so. But what I'm trying to get at is that you feel a need, or personally I feel a need, to not rely upon things like that, but when things don't go your way or whatever, and you just think, well, what's the fucking point, and that's a lot of what I'm trying to get at in this video. Like I say, I'm not going to be doing much moaning about anything, but I think that mental health needs to be addressed on a larger scale. It's not because of personal experiences, although I must admit the last 5 to 6 years, especially the last 6 years as I film this video, haven't been the greatest of my existence, specifically the last year. And I put that down a tremendous amount to what I consider to be bad luck. If you suffer a lot from bad luck, then you are going to look on the bleak side. And as a pessimist at heart, I'm not attuned to things going my way. And what I mean by that is not having thousands and thousands of pounds to spend, not having, nights out with friends or whatever. What I'm on about is the simple fact of how you feel about yourself. And I will say now, like I said earlier, I don't want anyone watching to feel upset or sad for me or whatever, because this is how I feel about myself. I am not body confident, okay? I am not body confident, which leads me to be less confident in general. I am not self-confident, despite what you may see in these videos, As I keep on saying, this isn't your typical moaning show. This is me discussing my thoughts about mental health without the usual effing and blinding that I usually put into a moaning show. Now, what I personally think about myself is my business. It's not really anybody else's business. All right, you may confide in someone, or you may talk to someone about it. But the thing is, what if you don't have anyone to talk to about it? There are charities set up so that you can pick up a phone or text someone or whatever, or email, and two spring to mind. The first one is the Samaritans. Now, what I'm saying is that I'm not picking up the phone and calling the Samaritans. I'm not discussing at length outside of this video how I personally feel about myself. I don't loathe myself. I don't hate myself. I hate my so-called physical appearance. I'm bald as a badger because I choose to be that way. But in reality, up until about, say, 2 or 3 years ago, I wanted long hair down to my shoulders. When I realised that wasn't going to happen, the change in appearance came. Okay? Now, I also hate the fact that I'm nowhere near as thin as I would like to be. I would like to lose around 20 inches from my waist. Is that going to happen? Probably not, the way things are. You can be big boned, you can have a slow metabolism, you can enjoy the things you like to eat, like snacks or foods that are high in fat or high in sugar or whatever. You can do that. What I'm trying to get at here is that I'm not body confident, which doesn't make me mentally confident, if you see what I mean. Like I say, I don't hate or loathe myself, but I've probably said this in another moaning show. There's a character in Austin Powers 2 called Fat Bastard, okay? And he says in a quotable line that I always bring up, I eat because I'm unhappy, and I'm unhappy because I eat, okay? Now, like I keep on saying, don't feel sorry for me. This is the so-called mental walls that I've built up, okay? I don't want to not rely on, snacking or whatever like that, because it's done me bad things this year, and that thought process is basically gone now. But what I'm saying is, in the moments that you think, this, nothing's going to go your way. For instance, you've got maybe a lot of bills to pay, you're a little bit behind with all of that sort of stuff, and you're thinking, well, what's the point? I also don't consider myself to be, that attractive to the opposite sex. I see people walking like hand in hand, and if I see a cute girl walking past me, I'll put my head down. I'll just concentrate on my own feet, because I don't want to waste their time. It's nothing to do with the fact of, she might be my future missus, or that woman there, if I get to know her, could be X or could be Y. It's nothing to do with that. I consider myself to be somewhat repulsive, and I know what the vast majority of people who know me would be saying at this point. I've got a lot going for me in terms of my personality. I'm likable, I'm a nice person, and I work as a care assistant in a care home, so that should be more than enough for you to not necessarily want to be around me. But it's they say that nice guys finish last, and I've always been I'm not going to say I've always been a good little boy, because it goes without saying, but that saying could also be somewhat true, because where has being a nice good little boy, so to speak, got me so far? It's got me, quite frankly, zero, zilch, But it's the feeling of inadequacy. It's the absolute feeling of, that you're not worthy of wasting anyone's time. And that is a mental health issue. The second charity I've just looked up on the internet is a charity called Mind. I will put the links to both charities' web pages in the comments section below the video, or in the description box as I go through this. But mental health, I think, needs addressing, and could possibly need a post in more or less every single workplace, or a department that you can have a talk to, that you can do this sort of thing with, And I think a lot of companies would benefit, because as people get depressed or they get a bit unhappy, their performance at work suffers because of it. They might even have days off because of issues or whatever. Now, I'm not going to say that I take days off for what I personally feel about myself. That's my prerogative, They say that a person that suffers from a mental health issue hides a lot of stuff. They're sort of like, yeah, and then behind closed doors, they're a completely different person, because they don't want to offend anyone. They don't want to annoy anyone, and they certainly don't want to take anyone's time up unnecessarily in their eyes. I'm not saying I do any of this, but what I am saying is that there are people out there that genuinely need help. And sitting in a psychiatrist's office is somewhat intimidating to some people. It's also fucking expensive. There's my swear word, alright? So it is a moaning show. It's really expensive, so if you are in a low-end paid job, or you don't earn a tremendous amount, you're turned against that sort of thing, and that is something that is wrong. You're kind of encouraged to be that different person, the one outside of closed doors, so to speak, to not pretend, but you put on a facade to say, yeah, everything's fine. I'm all right, so to speak, or yeah, I'm doing all right. I didn't have a great day yesterday, or I'm here to do my job, or I'm here to do this, I'm here to do that, and you put on a brave face. Now, obviously, mental health is now becoming such an issue. It is being addressed, but it needs more. Okay, it needs everything. You have a mental health issue, for example, and what if you can't do anything? What if you um, can't explain how you feel to someone, or your most trusted confidant, friend, family member, whatever, and you can't say anything to them? What happens then? I'll tell you what happens then. You dig further down. You go lower. You hide behind that door a little bit further, because that's what you have to do. You have a life to live. You have to keep up the so-called charade, facade, pretense, so to speak, to make sure that everything is okay. And it's unhealthy. Mental health should be just as important as physical health. I should know this year. I've had a shit year. I keep saying that every single Moaning Show. Okay? And like I said at the, earlier on in the video, a lot of it is to do with money. You're stressed about paying bills. You're stressed about having enough money at the end of the month or the end of your pay cycle to have food on the table, decent food. There are people going to food banks, for fuck's sake. So a mental health issue needs to be addressed by possibly someone more qualified than a GP or your doctor. There needs to maybe be a licensed psychiatrist within a sort of like a 10-mile radius of a town or a village or whatever, because you can't express your feelings. You can't express, I'm not feeling really great today, and blah 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 blah. And workforces especially, I think, should be focusing on something like this, because you could be having the worst day of your life, but if you're working and you need to be at work and whatever to earn the money, to pay the bills, to do this, to blah 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 blah, and if you don't, that digs you down further. It's dangerous to not speak up. Now, I want to restate that in myself, yeah, I'm not too comfortable. But at the same time, there are people that need me in my capacity at work, that need me in my capacity at home. And if you've been paying attention to previous Moaning shows, you know exactly who that is. So yes, I will be saying, yeah, everything's fine, I'm okay, I'm absolutely dandy. Because you have to be. There's no stating to the bleeding obvious that I feel like shit today. I feel like this today. I'm not feeling as good as I should. That's what I'm trying to get at. We need to talk about this as a society. We need to discuss it with each other. This is how things should be. There's still, to this very day of recording, and probably months, years beyond, after you watch this, there is a stigma against mental health. And there shouldn't be. We should be happy as sin in every single aspect of our lives. But we're not. We're not happy because either money. We're not happy because of our appearance, as I've just described to you earlier. We're not happy about the fact that we're perennially fucking single. I want nothing more in my life than to have a wife and a family. I want nothing more. That is my life goal. But can I achieve it in my current state? Heck no. But anyway, that's about it for this edition of the Moaning Show. I thank you very, very much for watching. What are your views on mental health? Should there be some sort of dedicated aspect of the workforce, or an environment, or a page you can just voice your thoughts on online or something? Or is it up to these charities when something really bad happens to us, so bad that it devastates us on a mental scale, and we think, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do now? This has been a more serious Moaning Show. Okay, it's the last two, this one and the previous one, have been different somewhat. I've wanted and quite frankly needed to discuss this sort of thing. Again, I want to state once more, please do not panic, especially if you are family watching this. All right, please do not panic. I'm fine. All right. Yes, the facade of saying I'm fine, but eventually things will work out. Not just for me, but hopefully for everyone watching. So, again, thank you very much for watching. As I say, normal service will be resumed in a much more entertaining show. All right, so thanks for watching. Comments down below, please, in the comments box, and I'll see you next time for a more normal style Moaning Show. Thanks a lot.